Welcome back to Cinema Flicks Music Picks. I'm Davey, your host with the most, the beast with the least. The least I can do today is part 1 of my top Blu-rays, 4Ks of 2022. I want to thank film blogger Sam and Nathan, specifically Blu-rays with Nathan Jones, for their assistance in talking me through this existential crisis I've been going through trying to put together my top list. They've already done theirs, they're so organised. But I decided I'd split them up into box sets, which is what we're watching now, and then I'll do regular Blu-rays in the course of time. Next few days, I'm not talking about October. Maybe September. Who knows? So, without further ado, no particular order. I'll try and suss it so that we get the real top creme de la creme at the top, but no particular order. Ostensibly number 10, Tiger Cage 1 to 3, the Trilogy, which has been released this year. Again, we have such a golden era at the moment going on with Hong Kong martial arts, Asian action films in general, and it's no surprise if I tell you that this is from 88 Films, because if it's not Eureka, it's 88, and they are just knocking it out of the park consistently. These films in particular, the Tiger Cage films, aren't as famous as some of the other ones they've released, but they are a kind of combination of the more martial arts based film, but with something like police story as well. So they're crime based martial arts films. And Donnie Yen's in 2 of them, has 2 different characters. In the first one he's more of a bit part player, and then he comes back in the sequel as the main actor. As you can see there's a younger Donnie Yen there, back in the 80s, looking rather handsome. So yeah, first choice, Tiger Cage Trilogy. This version's sold out with the book, but you can still get a standard edition which just loses the book, and as always packed with special features, all sorts of special features for each and every one of those films. So Tiger Cage Trilogy. Well, here we go. What's in at number 9, or rather who's in at number 9? Season 2 of Doctor Who. These sets speak for themselves. The wonderful packaging that we get with them for the classic series, with there's the Dalek in the water, the Thames, and the TARDIS, and then it opens up, and that's where you get your booklet is in there, and then you get the TARDIS inside. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But all that would be nothing if the Blu-rays were nothing to write home about, but they are. You don't literally need to write home. You can if you want, if your parents are Doctor Who fans. This is the first time we've had a release of the black and white era. So this is the first Doctor's second outing. There's one story still missing from it, the Crusade, but we get that filled in with the telesnaps and the version that was done in the early 90s to kind of, with William Russell doing the narration as Ian Chesterton. It's a cracking season. It's got the Dalek invasion of Earth, it's got the Romans, it's got the Web Planet as well, but it's got the chase, it's got some fantastic stuff in this. Looks great, some wonderful new material on here as well. So as always with Doctor Who, you get all the original material that we had on the DVDs that were already stacked, so all your old to this DVDs carried over, and then we got all new material as well. So you get a new sit down hour long interview with Maureen O'Brien, Vicky. You get a new interview with Russ, with William Russell. God bless him, in his 90s. It was recorded a few years ago. It's not the best, he can't remember very much, bless him. But this is just an astonishing continuation of an astonishing series, pretty much the definitive, this is how you release archival television. Series 2 of Doctor Who is in next place. Quite a recent release, and a bit of a volte-face from Doctor Who. 3 films by Andrzej Wajda, the War Trilogy. Some people will be familiar with certainly one of these films, which is by far the most famous of them, which is Ashes and Diamonds, Arrow Academy. This is one of their very first releases way back in 2011 or so, but second run have got it now, and they've completed the trilogy to put it out. So you get a generation and Canal with it. If you haven't seen these are obviously made by Andrzej Wajda, a Pole, less than 10 years after the end of World War II. So things are still very raw. They're very powerful, very harrowing, but also very defiant. Shows the resilience of the people and the individual, which would be a theme that the Poles would continue to put in their cinema right through Krzysztof Kieślowski and whatnot, right through the Soviet era and up to the 90s. So it's a phenomenal release, and again, plenty of extras here all down the bottom. And if nothing else, you need to see Ashes and Diamonds. It's one of the definitive films of world cinema of the 1950s. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'd really recommend picking up the War Trilogy. Probably not one to stick on over dinner, Christmas Day, but tis what tis. Oh boy, was I excited when they announced this. Gothic Fantastical, 4 Italian Tales of Terror from Arrow Video. So these are all films from the early era. So we're talking very early era of Gothic cinema in Italy. So just after the boom that started when Mario Bava really launched things, you get these 4 films. So we get Lady Morgan's Vengeance, The Blancheville Monster, The Third Eye, and The Witch. Not that, what, The Witch. The Witch. The Witch. And what wonderful films they are too. Now, they're not the most famous films. They don't have big stars in them. They're all black and white, but they are phenomenal Gothics. Anybody who's even remotely interested in the more Gothic side of Italian horror, or just horror in general, these really should be on your list. They really, really, really need to be on your list, because they are absolutely stunning. Yeah, so Gothic Fantastical, and again, just every single one of these. I mean, there's sort of commentary on every one. Yeah, there is indeed. They're all from 2K restorations. They're all out for the first time. I mean, you get a young Richard Johnson's in one of them from Zombie Flesh Eaters, and Armetta Colley from Gladiator Rome, and Erica Blanc from Kill Baby Kill. So there are genre stars that you will recognise if you're into your stuff, but just pick this up if you like the sound of it. Even it's one of those kind of blind buys that you kind of just have an inkling that you're gonna like. So go for it. Tell them I sent you. Well, from something semi-obscure where we're saying, oh, they're not the biggest stars, to possibly the biggest stars ever, the German box set of the 4K of The Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, which, what a great restoration this is. It's the same restoration that Criterion used in theirs, but I think we can agree this is a rather more lavish treatment. We get all the same extras, but we get 4 discs, and then we get a big stack of this poster and booklet and art cards and etc. What can be said about Richard Lester's terrific Hard Day's Night that's not already been said? It pretty much invents the rock and roll movie, and even the reinvents comedy in a way. It takes non-actors and puts them in this kind of farce, and we'd see that continuing right through with Summer Holiday, right through to the Dave Clark 5 did one, didn't they? And Slade in Flame was a more serious take, so this kind of kicks that all off. And there have obviously been, before this, Elvis had acted and things, but the Beatles play themselves, which was the difference here. Playing themselves. Just a phenomenal take on Beatlemania at its height. Not as cynical as Help. Better film than that. The Beatles' best film, if you ask me. So, well, unless you count Yellow Submarine. I love that movie. If you want to dip a tab of acid, and, oh yeah, that's the movie for you. But yeah, so in number 7 we have A Hard Day's Night, and I've been working like a dog. Don't know why I did that. Next up, we'll go with Came Out to Play. This was a big deal. From Imprint, The Warriors. Finally, somebody had the gumption to release The Warriors. The Warriors have been out a million times. What are you talking about? Well, actually, this version has been out a million times, the director's cut. But the director's cut of The Warriors is crap. That's the one with all the comic book transitions. No. That's not The Warriors. The Warriors is this, the theatrical cut. First time on Blu-ray. Absolutely phenomenal. Takes out all the garbage, all the stupid stuff that Walter Hill added to make it more comic booky. Walter Hill's a genius. He's one of my favourite filmmakers of genre film, but he dropped the ball on his director's cut, and finally getting his non-director's cut, the theatrical version from Imprint, who did a Lord's work in so many ways. But yeah, Warriors, essential pickup. I don't know if this is sold out or not. Imprint tends to sell out, but get it if it's still available, or if there's any way to get that theatrical cut, that's the version you want. Trust me, it's the best version of The Warriors, by far. Next up, which is number 4, I suppose, I think. Looking at what's left, or number 4. We'll go with, we'll just add this in. Shaw Scott Volume 2. Again, only recently came out, but we get another bunch of movies from Shaw Studios. This one's more expansive than the first volume. This goes right through to the 90s, believe it or not. It's got a Young Chow Yun Fat in one of them. It's got the Vipers movies. So it's got a couple of more exciting ones than Volume 1 had for me personally. I mean, I don't really like My Young Auntie, but The Boxer's Omen, Martial Arts of Shaolin, Barefoot Kid, Return to the 86 Chamber, Disciples, the 36 Chamber, Disciples of the 36 Chamber, Mad Monkey Kung Fu, phenomenal stuff. And again, every one of these is packed with special features, every single one. So they don't just give you, here's your 12 movies, take it and run, and then you get 2 soundtrack discs at the end. Just wonderful. I can't wait for Volume 3. The minute Volume 2 came, it's like, okay, where's number 3? We just want more Shaw. Give us more Shaw Brothers. We live in, again, a golden age of these wonderful kung fu films being resurrected onto Blu-ray, in this case for us, which long overdue after a real dearth of them for years and years, because the rights not very easy to deal with. It's like dealing with Toho Studios, a bloody nightmare. Next up, number 3, I'm going to go with Who You Gonna Call? Ghostbusters. So this is the Ultimate Collection, so ultimate in fact that it ignores the female Ghostbusters film, Answer the Call from 2016, which I think that's a shitty move. I think you should still have included it. It happened, okay? You can say, oh, but nobody liked it. Yeah, people didn't like Ghostbusters 2 for the longest time either. I've always loved it because I grew up with it, but yeah. The great thing about this is, first of all, they've been restored again. So Ghostbusters was already out in 4K. It's an even newer 4K. Ghostbusters 2 are the same. And then Ghostbusters Afterlife was new when this came out. So didn't really need a restoration. But on this, you get over 20 hours of special features. You get 2 bonus discs exclusive to this set, which have loads of outtakes from Ghostbusters 1 and 2. You get work print versions of both films, and it fills in a lot of gaps, like the jogging montage and, you know, the catching the ghosts. Ray being possessed by Vigo. Yes, Vigo. I did a video on this which went on far too long because I was ridiculously excited and probably a little stoned at the time. But yeah, Ghostbusters, phenomenal box, brilliant set. The extras on this are unreal. Finally, to get an edition that treated Ghostbusters 2 with respect, I was so excited because again, I grew up with that one more than the first. But at number 2, and I believe this was number 1 on specifically Nathan's list, Second Sight's edition of Drive, which is just absolutely stunning. I think, did Sam have it on his list too? No, it was number 1 on Sam's list, wasn't it? Oh, I'm sorry, it was number 1 on Sam's list. I'm pretty sure I just messed that up. Nathan, if you didn't include it, you should feel ashamed of yourself. But boy howdy, Second Sight. We've praised Arrow, we've praised Imprint. Second Sight, let's just have a look at Second Sight for a second. So you get your movie, right, which is here. Lovely, okay. So you get 4K and Blu-ray, gorgeous stuff. You get a book on the film, right, which is a hardback book. And look at the bloody side of the thing. It is 928 pages. I don't know how many it is, they forgot to number the pages. But it's a lot of pages. It's that many pages, you can count them from there if you like. But yeah, right, so you get that, right? Then you get the original novel that it was based on. Again, they did that with The Amazing Mr. Blunden. They gave you the novel with that as well. Just fantastic treatment. Just ridiculously deluxe treatment for this film. And it deserves it too, because as Sam rightly said in his video, and then art cards, because what do we always say, boys and girls, unless you get a poster and or art cards, it's not truly deluxe. But as Sam rightly said, this film is so much more than the rightly lauded soundtrack. Brilliant as that is. God, if I get some of those tracks stuck in my head, they'll be there for days, you know, with the real human being and the real hero. Oh, you kept me under your spell, you kept me under your spell. Second Sight's edition of Drive, again stacked, again absolutely stacked edition. Just definitive doesn't cover it. It doesn't have the edit of the film that has the Radio 1 version where like Zane Lowe picked new tracks to be the soundtrack to see if the film still worked with a completely different soundtrack, because nobody cared. Why would you change a perfect soundtrack? But you can still get that Blu-ray for £3. You could have mine for £4 if you want. And then top of the pops for this year in terms of box sets, The Godfather, 50 years. Obviously it's just 50 years of Godfather Part 1. So you get all the films in 4K, and unlike the US edition, this comes with all the films on Blu-ray as well. You get a hardbound photo book. You get 3, so I don't need to open up, I can just show you this, 3 prints which looked to me to be done by Alice Yang, but if not, they're certainly in her style. And again, just like I was saying about Doctor Who, the Godfather films already had a plethora of amazing extras. These are adding to it. We've got even more amazing extras. And we get the new version of The Godfather 3, The Death of Michael Corleone. So that's what's included here is The Godfather 3, but you also get the theatrical Godfather 3 as well. So it's definitive as heck. My old quibble that the book itself really focuses on The Godfather and kind of ignores the sequel, certainly number 3, which only gets 2 pages or so. But I like number 3. It's got what's his name in it? Joe Mantegna, Fat Tony from The Simpsons, playing Joey Zaza. But yeah, I did a video about this, which was half an hour of me just pretty much doing my Marlon Brando impression. It just went on forever. I never really stopped for the whole time. It just kept going, Selling the Corleone. That was supposed to be you. I never wanted this for you. Look what I did to my beautiful Santino. Anyway, that was 10 movies. That's 10 box sets, isn't it? Yeah, 10 smashing box sets with Shaw Brothers and Ghostbusters and Drive and The Warriors and Doctor Who and the War Trilogy and the Beatles. You've got plenty to dig into if you haven't picked these up. By gum, what a privilege it would be to be you and pick some of these up. Send me the money, I'll pick them up for you. 10% commission included. Folks, thank you very much as always. Managed to do this in less than 25 minutes. That's why I wanted to split them up, because waffle. Stay very safe out there, and love and mercy, especially to film blogger Sam and Nathan for their help in overcoming my, oh my god, how am I gonna do this countdown? Just when I thought I was out of making lists, they pull me back in. That's the worst Diane Keaton impression I've ever done. Anyway, love and mercy again. Take it easy.